As we get started with the Prismacolor coloring of our object, I want you to remember that you are supposed to have drawn very softly with your pencil, so that way you have a light contour outline of your object. That way it doesn't get in the way of your Prismacolor. As you can see here, I am starting with a base layer. Take a close look at your reference photo and identify what the color underneath is most likely to be. You want to color the direction of your object. So if your object had fur, for instance, you want to go down or start at the top and work your way down, okay? For this tennis balls are kind of fuzzy. So I'm actually using that scumbling technique where I'm taking my pencil and moving it in a figure 8 motion to make it look fluffy by the end. Notice that as I'm doing this base layer of this brown, I am not pushing very hard. You need to be extremely soft in all of your layers. It will eventually get darker and brighter the more layers you do. Here I have moved on to that little strip that goes between and basically stitches the tennis ball together. I started with my base layer and now I'm going in with more layers, but notice I've changed colors. Every layer you should be changing colors because that provides more dimension to your picture. Nothing in life is one solid color. Always, always, always layer, layer, and layer. Now this middle part of the tennis ball is actually smooth compared to the fuzzy parts of the tennis ball. So I'm going to use that technique of burnishing where I'm applying layers and layers and layers until eventually it gets smooth and solid. It's going to be so full of Prismacolor that absolutely nothing else can be added onto that paper. Here I have moved on to my second layer of the fuzzy part of the tennis ball. Notice that I now have a yellowy color because now I'm starting to pull in the colors that you see in the middle of your tennis ball. So generally it's a darker color in the back, then you have a medium toned color, and then you have your top coat, which is your usually lighter color, your highlights. I'm still using that figure 8 motion to establish the fuzziness of that tennis ball. I will keep doing this throughout, doing more and more layers, looking at my reference photo to see where I should put the darker colors, because now I've grabbed a green. But notice that this is a darker green, so I'm going to try and focus that more towards the bottom, because according to my picture, that's where it is darker, because there's more of a shadow down there. Keep layering Prismacolors with multiple different colors to establish a really good looking picture. At this point, I've lost count of how many layers I've done, but it's a lot. I've now gone back to that yellow, and because I want to brighten the color of my tennis ball according to my reference photo, I'm going to go through and I'm going to use that yellow to help blend some of those colors together. So sometimes I go in that circular motion to get those colors and pull them and mix them. I've now switched to the green and I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to use that green to blend all of it together and make it all cohesive and not look like it's scribbled. Our scribbling is not scribbling, it is being purposeful and making it look like it is fuzzy, and at the end you bring it all together. My final step is to use a lighter color to bind all those highlights and get those in there. Don't forget your shadows are what push your picture back, but the highlights are what bring it forward. So you have in 2D paper that looks like a 3D object.